And we are live. Once again, we are back with the new Open Field podcast. We're sorry for being a couple minutes late. We just taking care of some housekeeping. But I'm here with the usual suspects, Riddell and Lonnie. Early said he'll be joining us a little bit later, but just want to check in, and then I got some quickie NFL news for you guys. But how are you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. Except, I'm in the DC area, so it's early most of the time.
Mm.
I know you guys said you don't care about the commander's name, but the name's ass. And so the fact that they did a poll, 54% said that, we hate the name, and they're just like, we're gonna keep it.
If it was like 75, you need significant support on that for them because there's you're basically telling them that we want you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to
I
for
think like
a,
the polls, like there was like, dislike, hate, and so like 54% was like dislike and hate. It's like one of those things. So it's like if you combine it, like
I need it to be more than that. If I'm gonna about to spend trying to get new jerseys, new apparel, changing up how the field looks, hiring people to design a logo, all that
at
stuff.
the
Are they
same
going to keep the
time,
colors?
the Zack Snyder, why I say Snyder, the Dan, who was the
Daniel
old,
Snyder.
who was it?
Daniel Snyder.
Daniel Snyder. I was thinking Batman for some reason. Uh, no, Daniel Snyder. That era of football was horrid with just incompetence, failure after failure. So it was like I just feel like as the new owners, you should probably want to get away from that, and like a whole new rebrand is needed anyway. If you've been to that arena, you see like the state it's in. If you talk to like some of the people that worked under him and stuff like that, or if you've seen some of the articles of some of the stuff he's done, they kind of need a whole rebrand anyway. So
That's not a good enough reason to rebrand, especially since they already rebranded because of racism or whatever. So,
I think
uh,
when
it's just too much effort, and there's not a good enough cause.
I agree with Riddell and the football team. I think once the rebrand started anyway, because that's when you started to hear all the Daniel Snyder smoke really in earnest, which means he only had a limited amount of time. I think them. I liked football team a lot more than most people. I just like that kind of little European feel to it. I just liked it, and but the Commanders, it's good. They have everything they need now. They have a young quarterback, and hopefully they can have some success to make that name fully stick because there are worse names out there than that. Like they could have done way worse than that. I think Commanders is
Yeah,
fine.
I think just an over exaggeration. I mean, they're just names, team names. You're gonna get used to it. As long as you can recognize, like you say the name and you immediately visualize the team, that's all that matters. And when I hear Commanders, I think of Washington now. So
Mhm.
I don't think it's a big deal.
All right, so I got some quickie NFL news for you guys. First things first, Jawan Jennings got paid. Got a little contract extension today, 2 years, I believe, almost $15 million. Obviously, Riddell, you've been heavy on one of those two other receivers are leaving, are getting shipped off from the 49ers. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is still not in OTAs because he's looking for a new deal. But Riddell, I want to start with you first because you've been more on this. What does them re-signing Jawan Jennings mean for the 49ers receiving core right now?
Whether it's this year or next year, they're definitely preparing for one of the receivers to leave. Um, I think I think more than likely it should be Brandon Ayuk. And the reason why I say this is that I think Ayuk in particular is going to ask for way more money than Debo Samuel. And is like, how much do you want to somewhat handicap your team to a receiver who's good, but like I'm not as high as on Ayuk as other people. I don't think he's like a game breaker. I don't think he's going to change your team with his ability, right? So Brandon Ayuk overall for the money he's going to ask for, I don't think it's worth kind of handicapping the 49ers, especially when you have to pay Brock Purdy. So you got Juwan Jennings, you got another receiver who's probably going to replicate some of the things that Ayuk is going to do in Ricky Pearsall. And then Debo Samuel, you can dislike him as much as you want, but the way the 49ers use him is very efficient and he's a huge piece in opening up their offense at the end of the day. So Debo, I think Debo stays. Juwan, he's a safety net. I think Brandon Ayuk is gone, man.
Lonnie.
So the base points for Brandon Ayuk's contract, like apparently the minimum that he's asking for is like around 30 mil a year. So,
If
just
they
as a
decide
reference,
to pay him, they have to do that before Minnesota does Jetta's
exactly.
contract.
Yeah, apparently, like he is kind of also looking because the I'm gonna say Brown contract is like the benchmark for him, but he's also his people are already looking at the Jetta's contract. That's gonna look like. Not that he's at that tier, but yeah, but
Sometimes
around
it's
T
timing.
Higgins is also asking for around 30 mil. Nico Collins just got signed for way like around 26, 27.
I think it's a we need. Eventually, I want to touch on that deal, but that is a fantastic deal. Obviously for both sides because Nico Collins is getting paid, but I think that's a fantastic
that's a
team
perfect
friendly
deal for
deal
their
as
team.
well.
But for the 49ers, they still eventually have to pay Greenlaw, Fred Warner probably, Nick Bosa just got re-signed, but then you have like McCaffrey, Debo, and then you have to prepare for Brock Purdy. So they have way more people they have to pay than other teams. A lot of their contracts are coming up in like the next 2-3 years. So I don't think that he fits their timeline in terms of like getting paid. They just drafted a receiver in the first round. Jennings played really well in the playoffs, so I think he can be a solid number 2-3, and you got him for cheap. So yeah, I can definitely see them trading him or them just not re-signing him and then him just having to suck it up and find somewhere else to play. But no, I like Brandon Ayuk. He's like a top 10, 12 receiver to me. He's definitely a route demon, but in terms of like everything that the 49ers need, I think he's more just extra at this point.
Well, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. It feels like this is, if they do find a way even to keep Ayuk for a year, this is their last chance to try and win one before obviously the bill really comes due. Next, we're going to run over to the AFC. Brandon McManus was sued by 2 flight attendants. Apparently, he some sexual misconduct on the Jags flight from London. He's been an all right kicker. I have no problems with him, but what do we feel about this? And obviously, how will this affect the Jaguars going forward? Obviously, they can get a new kicker, but he's been there for a little while, if I remember correctly.
I think he already left the team.
They already cut him?
I'm pretty sure he's on a different team right now. I'm pretty
Might be
sure.
on the Bills, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me check. I'm checking right now.
But regardless,
he's on the Commanders.
Oh, there you go.
Of course he is.
That's hilarious. All right.
No, I was gonna say, regardless, you did something on a private plane. There's not a lot. If you've been on like one of those private planes, it's a plane. Like, there's not a lot of room to like get away with stuff. So if you sexually assaulted 2 flight attendants,
yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, too.
Yeah, on your NFL team's plane, there's bound to be some type of witnesses. Like it had to have been like, because you're in the middle of the air, crowded area, confined area, and you sexually assault 2 people. You have to have at least like 20 witnesses that can either say you did it or you don't. The fact that like no one's come to his defense yet kind of tell me that he's guilty. Because if someone said, hey, you did this to me on a plane in front of like 50 of your coworkers are there and none of your coworkers are saying, oh, he's innocent, I kind of feel like it did something. But no, it's one of those just stupid, unfortunate situations. I don't know what's gonna come of it, but yeah, people just gotta keep their hands to themselves. I don't know, like who does shit on a plane in front of like 50 other people, whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean, for me, I don't have a really strong opinion until more information comes out. I mean, a perfect example is the stuff that happened with that punter who lost his job. Now he got a new job. Now he's on the Chiefs, actually. So he had allegations.
They were
lost
dragged
a
into
job.
the mud.
Yeah,
Riddell.
he
I
was getting
remember
killed, and then he ended up being innocent, and now he got a job back, thanks to the Chiefs. So I'm not really gonna say much on it, but I've said this before, and I'll say this again, that regardless if it's true or not, this could potentially harm the idea of American NFL players going overseas. So hopefully that doesn't become a big narrative point, but
that.
we'll have to see. But I mean, if he's guilty, then he's a scumbag. So we'll see how everything plays out.
Yeah, real quick, the only difference between that situation and the punter situation is like the whole, oh, this happened during college, and there was like more of an investigation and stuff like that, and there were like apparently other people involved, and then ended up the girl saying it wasn't true. But it was just like that's different than like mid-season, you're in a confined, cramped area, and someone saying, "Oh, you did this to me," while there's 60 other people present, not really doing much. Like, there's only so much you can do on a plane. So, like, because you think about it, like, they have to take the whole players, they have to take a staff. So it's like, there's definitely people around, definitely staff around. So there's not like really room to get away with stuff like that. So I don't know. Because you also have like, you think like sometimes they allow like their family members to come on the planes and stuff like that. So like you have multiple people just there. So
Right. I mean, nobody said anything either way. So that's why they're gonna get testimony and see.
Well, I think
What
there's a
did you
reason
see?
why.
And they'll
Yeah,
say.
the
So,
punter's case was criminal, and there's a reason why the flight attendants are suing him and the Jaguars instead of pursuing it criminally. So it's obviously a bad situation, but one last bit of NFL quickie news: the Chiefs continue to have one of the worst off seasons by a defending champion I've seen in a while. This time, it's Isaiah Buggs, a backup defensive lineman. He got misdemeanors for animal cruelty, taking a page out of Michael Vick's book. Not always a good decision. And ironically, the Chiefs have a guy who they prop up all the time because all he does is save shelter dogs. So the irony is just dripping. But Riddell, what is happening with your squad?
hey man, all
Can't
I know
trust
is
none of them.
this is highlighting an issue, and the issue is maybe sometimes as an organization, if you're not strict enough, these young guns who think they're good act up. There's the Chiefs are kind of like a fun environment. They lock in when they're supposed to, but Andy Reid's like one of the guys, but he's a coach that obviously puts order. Patrick Mahomes is like one of the guys. Travis Kelce's kind of like one of the guys. And same with Spags, and Spags we trust, of course. The GM is one of Andy Reid's guys, and the owner sucks. So at this point, when you look at everything that goes on with the Chiefs, when you look at the owner being terrible, when you're looking at questionable GM choices that's been going on, and when you look at all these criminals getting exposed that keep joining, that are part of the team, that makes you realize, Patrick Mahomes is doing a lot with this team. I'm not gonna lie, man. He is doing his utmost best to put this train wreck together. Because I'm not gonna lie, I can't even imagine Tom Brady going through all of this, man. Bill Belichick would have been like, "You did what?" Gone, kicked off the team. Bill Belichick would have snipped. He would have nipped that in the bud immediately. But
Let's not forget, Riddell. Aaron Hernandez was in the Patriots locker room, and they gave him an extension.
Okay, he didn't know what.
He didn't know what he was doing in the locker room.
The dude was weird as fuck.
Oh no, doing weird stuff. I thought you were talking about Aaron Hernandez's crimes. I mean, I don't think he knew about that.
Skill streak in real life, plus the stuff in the locker room. That's different.
Hey, being a weirdo in the locker room is different from being constant criminals, and there's too many. There's too many criminals that going on with the Chiefs. I don't know what's going on. There's not enough order and structure. The problem with Aaron Hernandez is he was mentally crazy from jump. These guys are joining the team, getting too cocky, and becoming criminals. So Yeah, we need more structure. Andy Reid, you're my guy, but I need you to put your foot down and
Lonnie, we should start making bets about what's
you
going to
might need to
happen next.
start, putting your hands on some people because they don't know. These dudes don't know how to act. It's crazy.
I need
They don't know
Justin
how to act.
Watson to like punch somebody in the face at a concert. Like that's what I need. At this rate, we're getting everything.
No, the Chiefs, basically with everything that goes on, it shows that maybe they just have a character issue. Like you see, because you see how the owners are, you see how like maybe the people in power, not named Andy Reid, are. So maybe they have a bad judge of character because they're bad characters themselves, and that kind of just shows with what's going on. I do I do believe in the whole championship high thing. Like sometimes when people win championships, they think that they're better than other people and stuff like that. The guy that just got what these charges against him, I looked up his stats. He has like 1 sack in like 4 years, and
Oh
like
yeah, he doesn't play.
yeah, well, he doesn't play. His contract's like $1 million. Like he's probably already off the team. But no, it's just unfortunate situation because you have the Rice situation, or which situation you want to talk about? Him punching somebody or him?
Well, at the club, those charges got dropped, so they probably slid the guy some money.
Okay,
Oh, for sure. Give him the bag, man.
so you can just still say how he's Need for
He has the
Speed.
multiple felonies still.
Straight criminals,
What's
man.
good sauce? Oh, but Worthy, he got robbed. But at the same time, I don't know if you like paid attention to any of his social media. I'm just like, yo, why are you making it rain on your girl in your cramped ass bathroom? Like, what are you doing? Like, he's just doing kid shit. Like, I was like, yo, that's like some high school, early college kid shit. Like, she's just like his personal stripper in the back, and they're in their bathroom, and he's just like throwing money everywhere. I'm just like, all right, now I get why you got robbed.
Well, I mean,
That's robbable activity. Like I'd rob you, but I'm
said
not.
I would rob you. All right. So first things first. We're gonna dive into our topics. As you can see, we're gonna start off with all the NFL news, NFL topics, then we'll end with college football, guys. So first things first, we're gonna start off something like Joey Porter Jr. declared himself the best corner in the game. In an article in Bleacher Report by Adam Wells. What do you think of his claim? Do you agree with him? If not, who is the best corner in the NFL? Who wants to start?
I'll start. No, I mean Joey Porter Jr. He's good, but like that's just confidence. At this point, if you're gonna be confident, but don't be surprised if people are gonna clown you if you get exposed. I mean, it's as simple as that. You see with the stuff with the NBA with Anthony Edwards, super confident, talks a lot, and then obviously he has duds. People clown him. So Joey Porter Jr., you want to call yourself the best wide cornerback in the game? Cool. You know who else has called himself the best of X, Y, and Z? Chase Claypool. Now he sucks and gets memed all the time. So just don't fold. That's all I'm going to say. Don't fold. And we'll see how everything plays out. You're in a great situation in Pittsburgh. So you're probably not going to fold. But best cornerback in the game, it's more of a prove it thing. And I mean, you got Sauce Gardner right there. You got PS2 right there. Jair Alexander right there. Trent McDuffie right there. So you got some stiff competition, my boy.
Lonnie?
I agree with those names, but at the same time, I like that confidence. I need that confidence from my CB1. I need my corner to think that he can walk on water. I need my corner to think that he can cover like the two best receivers in the league at the same time. And that's what Joey Porter's showing. So like I like the confidence. I think he has a lot of potential. I never see him as like the potential to be the best corner of the league. I saw that from Sauce, like his rookie year. I was like, oh, he's eventually gonna be like a number, like the top dog or in that conversation. I also think PS2 is up there. I still respect Jalen Ramsey. I still think he might be like top 5. McDuffie is a monster. Jair has a little bit emotional issues for me, so I'm just like, I don't know whenever he's gonna like just fall off the wagon. He just seems like one of those. But but at the same time, when you talk to all of them, they're all except maybe PS2 because I don't really hear a lot of things from PS2. They're all delusional. So yeah, he's got the right amount of crazy to succeed. So I mess with it.
All right. I should have added that to quick news. That's my bad. But we're going to start off with technically our true first topic. More bad news for the Bengals. Jamar Chase is also now sitting out OTAs as he's looking for his deal. The Bengals, I understand the Chiefs are making all the headlines, right? But the Bengals have also quietly had what I would say a very concerning offseason. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson, their best defensive lineman, maybe their best defensive player, requested a trade, or else he will retire. Obviously, there's T. Higgins sitting out, because he will not, at least as of right now, he's not signed the franchise tag. And now Jamar Chase, right? They already lost Tyler Boyd in free agency. Obviously, there's still the concern with Joe Burrow's wrist. So
He said he's feeling the healthiest he's ever felt. That's what Joe Burrow said.
yeah, they say that
And
every
I don't think he says that every year. And then the stuff with Trey Hendrickson he said that he won't leave the team. So
okay.
regardless if he gets paid or not, he's playing the entire year. I think T's gone next year, and Jamar Chase is going to get Jamar Chase. It's interesting. I don't know why he's doing this now.
I was shocked to see they sitting out.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why he's doing it now. I mean, it could be a variety of. I don't think it's going to be a big deal because if I'm Jamar Chase, I'm waiting until Jettis gets paid, and I'm getting paid more than him. That's what I would do if I'm Jamar Chase. So that's why it's kind of a little weird for Jamar Chase to do this. So I don't know if it's really as serious as we're making it. Maybe he just didn't show up because he didn't want to. I mean, that's possible. What are you gonna tell Jamar Chase? Hey, I mean, he's your best offensive player. That's not Joe Burrow. So I mean, you ain't really gonna say much to him, to be honest. I don't think that's gonna be a big deal. But I do think Chase will get the bag the moment Jettis is paid. So maybe he's putting this into their mind. Yo, when Jettis gets his bag, pay me more than him.
I was just rightfully shocked that he's also skipping out and what's going on. But remember, if T is so Riddell, you think T Higgins is staying for one more year, then he's gone.
Oh yeah, T's gone for sure.
So okay, so I'm looking right now at their weapons. Joe Mixon's gone, right? Joe Mixon's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Boyd's gone. Who's their tight end? Is it Croft? Something Croft? Is that his name?
That doesn't sound right.
Okay. Who did they sign in free agency to be their running back? I'm going on Sports
Zach
Center.
Moss.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss is their running back.
He's a good running back.
Disgruntled, I guess maybe. Oh, you could also say contract here, T Higgins, and also now he's not disgruntled, but now he's looking to get paid. Jamar Chase.
But they also got that rookie from Alabama.
They got Jermaine Burton. Their tight end is Mike Gesicki, who's a solid tight end.
I think Burton could be a really good number too. I think his potential is what T Higgins is now. I think he can get there, especially with someone like Joe Burrow. I think he has the talent for it. He just, as Rodell says, he just needs to stop smacking people on camera. But he has all the talent. He has the talent to be a monster. So I think that's another reason why they're fine with letting T Higgins walk. Because if he pans out, then it's plug and play. Then eventually just need a third receiver.
Well, so to add some more context into this, also they're missing defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, and their starting right tackle Trent Brown is not at camp either. OTAs. So Jamar Chase, the only reason he's eligible for a contract extension now is because he made the Pro Bowl each of his first 3 seasons. So that's why he's sitting out now trying to get that taken care of. We just lost Riddell. But how quickly do you think they can kind of solve this issue that they have with their receivers? And then where do we see them in the AFC? They have had a lot of turnover on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, me and Riddell agree. Higgins is probably gone after this year, so that is what it is. But they have Burden, who's going to be at least a solid number 3 this year. At least should be if everyone stays healthy. Jamar Chase, receivers do this all the time. We see them even when it's a little bit early. CeeDee Lamb did this last year, and apparently he's sitting out again this year. But I did want to talk a little bit about CeeDee Lamb because apparently, according to reports, he's going to be the first one to get paid out between Dak, Micah, and him. and we've been
Okay,
talking
so then
about
Dak's
how
gone. Then Dak's gone is what that tells me.
yeah, because I think it was last week and the week before we were talking about like which one is not going to get paid, and if they're paying CD first,
And he's gonna want
what does
top
that mean for
money.
Dak? Because the money's not going to be there. No, but yeah, so their weapons are like I have questions about the Bengals tight end. We still have to see how Joe Burrow is really going to be healthy because he says he's the best he's ever felt. But then he said he felt. I remember literally watching him like a week, like the day before he got hurt in practice. He's like, "Oh, this is the best I ever felt." And then like he did that rollout and then like tweaked his ankle. Then he was messed up for like 5 weeks. And then the year before that, he was hurt too. So we'll see what happens. But history shows that he usually gets hurt in the beginning of the season. So hopefully he can stay healthy. But no, I think the Bengals are gonna be fine. I don't consider them like really Super Bowl contenders this year. But I could be wrong, so who knows?
Okay. Riddell, do you want to have anything to add? I think you're muted.
Yeah, it's good now. Yeah, as long as Joe Burrow's healthy, they're 100% contenders. I feel like people are getting it twisted with this injury stuff, and I think they're copying. I feel like there's a hidden agenda against this man, Joe Shiesty, because he's the only one the only one that's truly threatens Patrick Mahomes. That people
I
are.
like Joe Burrow, but I'm talking about their overall team.
I'm not saying you in particular. I think the people are starting to use the injury excuse as a crutch against Joe Burrow. Now saying that I'm seeing lists where he's the third, fourth, fifth, sixth best quarterback in the NFL. I'm like, oh,
Some people we know had him at 13.
it's disgusting. Yo, really disrespect. We forgot when Joe Burrow is healthy, minimum, he's in the AFC Championship. Like this is not one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, he has a stacked roster and he just got to do it. No, he is this team. The moment he joined this team, he completely changed around this team. As long as Joe Shiesty is healthy, this team is a threat to make the Super Bowl. 100% every single time. That's how good he is. He's just one of those caliber quarterbacks. And I'm not hearing anything else about anything else, man. There's only one team that's been able to beat Joe Burrow in the playoffs in the AFC, and that's the Chiefs. That's it. So I'm not disrespecting this man if he's healthy at any point. And this team is still really good. This team is still a good team. Like at the end of the day, despite everything that's happening, still a good team from top to bottom. They just all got to do their job, and Joe Burrow got to drive the bus, and he drives them bus extremely well. So good enough roster to make some noise per usual, and I think they'll make this noise. And I don't care what team in the AFC they go up against, unless it's the Chiefs, they can beat any team.
They can beat any team, but I still have like in terms of like teams I think are better or have a better chance of making the Super Bowl. I got the Chiefs, of course. Then I got like the Jets, the Ravens, and Houston, and then I have them. So I mean, they're always in the mix. Like they're like they can compete with any of those teams, but it's just like teams that I would prefer over the Bengals as a whole are those teams. So I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But and I do believe in Joe Burrow. He is that nigga. So
I was gonna ask you guys, in terms of Joe Burrow, I don't have any problems with with his play on the field. I just have concerns, obviously, about his health. Half the time he's been in the NFL, he's been hurt. Is that not a reason to be down on the Bengals?
it's a reason of like it raises an eyebrow for me, but like to me it's like this. Like ACL injuries, they can happen to anybody. So like that to me, like I'm counting that as like a one-off. And then okay, he like hurt his ankle on a rollout. That's unfortunate, an accident. Wrist injury is concerning. But when you put them all together, it sounds, oh, he might be brittle. So if I see another major injury, then I'm gonna be like, okay, you're a little bit injured. Or if I see like an injury that takes him out more than like 2-3 weeks, then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be like, okay, he's a little injury prone because this is like the third time he's missed a significant amount of time because of an injury. So, but that also depends. Like the circumstance. Like I consider things case by case. So if it's like some crazy freak accident, like someone comes flying at him and there's no way that he doesn't get injured from that, I'm not gonna say, oh, he's injury prone. But at the same time, if it's something that's like simple but takes him out for weeks at a time or the end or another season, I'm gonna give him that label. He's on that edge for me. That's where I'm at.
I mean, injuries is obviously, a problem. It's hard to really assess when it comes to Joe Burrow because he doesn't really rely on his athleticism too much. I do think that obviously his injury, whatever his injury was before, was affecting him in the beginning of the season. It was pretty obvious to me considering how he was playing at the beginning. But then once he started getting more healthy, the Bengals started getting dangerous. And then it looked like, oh, yeah, they're about to make another playoff push and be a dangerous AFC team. And then he got injured again, which ruined the Bengals' chances. Which honestly, this year would have been the perfect year to be healthy, Joe, because the Chiefs were for sure vulnerable. It's bittersweet for someone who believes that Joe Shiesty is that guy. But hey, I'm glad I don't have to see Joe Shiesty in the playoffs for sure. Come on, those games are stressful. It's always close. It's too close. But I'm at this point, unless something proves otherwise, I'm never not gonna believe in Joe Burrow.
All right, y'all. Real quick before we go on to our next topic, make sure if you guys want to support us and the Open Field podcast, you can send money to our Cash App at $ the Open Field Podcast and our PayPal at the Open Field Podcast at gmail.com. We obviously appreciate all you guys' support. Let's move on to the next topic. And I want to spend some time with this, just analyzing the Houston Texans for a bit today. Nico Collins got paid last week. That's kind of like the move of the week. With him getting 3 years, $75 million, $52 million guaranteed. Houston is obviously trying to capitalize on that magical first season of CJ Stroud. But with their acquisition of Stephon Diggs for cheap and restructuring his contract, the young guns coming up, obviously D'Amico Ryans as a coach. How do we feel about the Texans, and are they the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC?
I'll say that they're the biggest threat because they still have so much room. They still have so much time before they have to pay CJ Stroud. They can still load up, not just this year, but like next year, they can still load up in free agency. The year after that, they can do like another final push. And they still have most of their draft picks too. So it's like they have a lot of room to like overload their team with talent before they have to pay anybody. Because their big contracts are going to be Stingley, which is going to be 3 years from now. Will Anderson, 4 years from now. CJ, 4 years from now. Tank Dell, 4 years from now. So they have that time. They have that time frame. So them paying Nico, it made sense because his contract was running up, and low key, like, he's a little underpaid. Like, if you think about because I know Riddell thinks really highly of him. He's like, to me, like a low tier number one receiver. And if you pair him with Tank Dell, who I also consider like a number one level talent, and Stephon, that's great. So most of we see like a lot of these number one receivers right now, they want $30+ million a year. You got him for like 20 something. So to me, that's a bargain, especially since only like 50 of it is guaranteed. When some of these contracts for these wide receivers are like 80, 100 plus, whatever guaranteed. So I think they got a steal.
So I just looked it up, so I can have a gauge. So right now, Nico Collins technically is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. He's and his guaranteed signings is more than all of these receivers except Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the only one who has more guaranteed money by 0.5 million. So
But if you think about it, Riddell, Jettas, Brandon, and T. Higgins are all going to get more than him. So
regardless, but I mean, I'm just going based off current receiver contract. So they, which is smart, they gave him a bag with the guaranteed signing. So he's making $52 million in guaranteed money, which is more than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, more than Devontae Adams, more than Amon-Ra, more than Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley. Devontae Smith per year technically is more. Well, total is more because Devontae Smith's making 75, Nico Collins making 72.5 million, but he dwarfs him in terms of guaranteed money. I mean, at that point, you know what that says to me? That says to me that, yeah, I believe he's my guy. He's our guy for sure. He's our guy moving forward. And they are not going to give him top money because obviously he's only had one good year. He's not he does, and they don't want to handicap their roster by giving him crazy money. But they gave him really good money, more than DK Metcalf and just below Devontae Smith. So Nico Collins, I know people are saying that, oh, Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs are going to come out and make him the wide receiver 3. Well, apparently Houston doesn't think so. They don't think he's about to be wide receiver 3. They think he's about to be wide receiver 1. And don't be surprised when he does be wide receiver 1 this year. When you're as big, as skilled as Nico Collins, you get him the ball. And I know Lonnie said low end wide receiver 1, but when Tank Dell was gone, when all they had was Noah Brown and Nico Collins, those last couple of games, he was cooking. He was cooking the league. They couldn't stop him. Nico Collins was going crazy. So he's a guy. He's a guy for sure. And I'm expecting more greatness. And I hope Stephon Diggs doesn't ruin his momentum and Tank Dell's momentum. I really hope that's not the case.
I mean, I'm a low end wide receiver run for now. I do need to see another year. I don't just like basing how good someone is off of just 1 year. But no, I think him and Tank Dell can be the best wide receiver duo in the league. But yeah, no, I think it's good to pay him now. So I'm rocking with the Texans. I am a Patriots fan, but I am a CJ fan at the same time. So I am with the Texans until the Patriots get back to where they need to be, and I don't care. So no, I'm definitely happy that they kept Nico, and yeah, by the time that his contract's up, that's when they have to pay everybody. So I hope they can figure that out, because around that time they probably have to play Stingley and maybe their left tackle, and then they have to prep for Will Anderson and CJ and Tank and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes.
I think they're probably in the best position in the league, because I wouldn't say the 49ers, but now the Bills starting to come due for them. They could be the AFC version of the 49ers, obviously with a way better quarterback. I guess I still want to see where Riddell, if the Texans are the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. Remember, they've also made moves on the other side of the ball by adding Danielle Hunter, the leading sack leader from last year. Their defense is still young and up and coming, but they showed a lot of promise. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans really showcased his mettle last season. So, Riddell, you're the Chiefs guy. When you're looking at it from your point of view, how do you view the Texans in terms of how they can compete with the Chiefs?
I think the Texans have a pretty good shot in terms of being competitive. I mean, more often than not, I'll still go Chiefs. I think the thing is for the Texans moving forward is like what their identity will be, which will be very important for me to see going into the season in terms of the pass game, in terms of the run game, in terms of their defense. Like, what is their identity being such a young team? We know CJ Stroud's the guy, but once you hit the playoffs, how are you going to operate? Because that high-powered pass-heavy offense, when it went up against the Ravens, was completely shut down, and you guys played disgusting. You guys got blown out by the Ravens in the playoffs. And yes, you brought in Stephon Diggs, sure, but Stephon Diggs is not necessarily going to change the way you play. So that playoff experience is going to be very valuable. If I'm taking injury into account, I'm still worried about what the Jets will be with Aaron Rodgers, and I still don't believe in Nathaniel Hackett. But I still think the Jets have the most complete roster in the NFL. So I'll say the Jets are still the most concerning team in the AFC against the Chiefs, especially considering that defense. And I think the Texans can be dangerous, but I'm always skeptical on a team that has no true defensive identity. And I don't like their secondary corner. I don't really like their linebacking core, but I do like Will Anderson. And I do like Derek Stingley. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna play because that's their defense. Other than Daniil Hunter, hasn't really changed that much, and that same defense got destroyed by the Ravens in the playoffs. So we'll see how it kind of plays out.
Lonnie.
No, so if you want to talk about the weaknesses of the Texans, I would say probably the linebacking core. Not that it's bad. I do like some of the potentials from some of their linebackers. And yeah, I do agree that we needed like a second corner. Um did we draft a corner? Did they draft a corner? I have to check.
I can check right now. Give me 1 second.
I think they drafted a safety. They might have drafted a corner. It's either a corner or safety. I don't know what his position
They
is.
drafted a safety in the 3rd round, and they drafted a corner in the 2nd.
Oh, okay.
Kamari Lassiter from Georgia in the 2nd round.
Okay.
And
So
then Kalen Bullock, the safety out of USC.
So at least they're aware that at least they're aware of their weaknesses. So like a corner in the 2nd round, that's good. That's good value. So if he ends up panning out and then we have like a decent second corner, then I'll be fine. I do feel like we need like they need better linebacking core. So we'll see what happens with that. But no, I feel like they're in the best position at any team to compete because all their best pieces are super young, and compared to the Chiefs, their best pieces outside of McDuffie are on the older side. Except Mahomes is in the middle, of course, and he can play for however long he really wants to. Yeah, I said I'm with CJ. I've been with CJ for a while, so it is what it is. I'm allowed to have 2 teams. I'm me. Like Riddell has the Giants and the Texans. Random has the Patriots, and I don't know who else. But I'm allowed to have 2 teams to root for. But
all right, and also some obviously some very good news and nothing. Obviously, Tank Dell was shot, but now he's practicing again, so he's looking like he's online to play Week 1. So everything looks like it's coming up Millhouse for the Texans. But now let's move over to the college football world. Start talking about obviously the title of this video. But first, we're going to talk about NIL, and this is something that I wish Early was here for, but we talked about this could be something. Jalen Rashada, he is a quarterback at the University of Georgia, but he had a lawsuit. Actually, you know what? Let me do some more prep. He was ranked number 31 in the overall 2023 class, and he was obviously a 300 recruit. He sued the University of Florida and Bill Napier on Tuesday, where he is claiming that he was defrauded out of millions of dollars in NIL money. The lawsuit, among other things, alleges that Napier promised the player's father a $1 million partial payment upon signing. Rashada did sign, but apparently he never got the money, and the boosters never fulfilled the deal, is what the lawsuit states. This has actually been ongoing for a little while, but it was only a matter of time before we get something like this with how NIL is still this wild west. And even though we are seeing some crazy, sneaky things in Congress, with them trying to do some stuff, how do we feel about this? Do you think the Florida Gators did Jalen Rashada wrong? And obviously he found his way to Georgia, so it's not like he's at a bad place, at least football wise.
I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion regarding this. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to college, but I mean, the NIL deal, it's a new concept. It'll continuously get kinks worked out. I mean, for me, I like the idea of giving the athletes what they deserve in terms of like if you're benefiting from them, they deserve something. But I was always skeptical on like how to make it the most efficient it can be for not only the good of the athletes, but also for the good of the sport and for the good of the institution, because it's still an educational institution, college. So yeah, well, the kinks will continuously work itself out.
Yeah, I mean, college football is in a lot of upheaval this season. Obviously, the 12-team playoff, OU and Texas are in the SEC. The Pac-12 officially died, I believe, a week ago in the Pac-12 baseball championship game where Arizona beat USC, ironically. So we've seen a lot of upheaval. But Lonnie, before I go any further, what do you feel about the lawsuit?
This type of stuff was bound to happen, like because we all know, like for years, behind the scene deals with boosters and stuff like that. There's always been like a shady side to it. And I think he's had like this kid has had multiple problems when it comes to the whole money thing. I think
Mhm.
he like tried to sign on really early for
Yeah,
the
he tried
money.
he tried to sign with the Miami Hurricanes. Um, and apparently in the lawsuit, he said that the Hurricanes actually had a 9.5 NIL promise with him, but he decommitted, and then he went to Florida, and because he was gonna get that, he was gonna get a 4-year, $13.85 million NIL deal, and then when that deal fell through, that's when he transferred again. He actually, ironically, ended up Arizona State, played 2 games and got hurt, and now he's at Georgia. So he has been moved around a bit.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to the kids for trying to hustle as many millions as they can because we all know like only a small percentage actually make it to the league. So them trying to get them their millions now, I get it. But at the same time, these are kids and their business practices aren't the smartest. So I feel like some of these kids they're trying to like do whatever they can to get as much money as they can immediately. So if I'm him, I'm thinking like trying to think from like a 17-year old's perspective. This guy offered me 9 million, but this guy offered me 16 million. So even though I fully committed, now I'm just gonna switch over, and but I still want the other money. So it's like they're just some of them are not really like I don't want to call it scamming, but like some of them are just doing whatever is gonna pay more, whatever's the quickest buck. And to me, that it's kind of blowing up in this guy's face. So
Well, I mean, until there is some actual regulation in the NIL space, there's probably gonna be more and more deals like this. This is not the first time this has happened to a school or to a player. We just don't know about it in terms of a kid bringing it up in a lawsuit. But um, Billy Napier is not. Apparently, I was listening to Dan Lebatard, and they were talking about he might lose his job over this, especially if he doesn't perform well next season, because he was very highly talented coming out of high school. So
what position does
it's
he play?
he's a quarterback.
Oh, he's a quarterback. Well, he's not going to play this year because if he's in Georgia, that's Carson Beck's team.
I mean, that's what he transferred to. I bet when signed when he was about to sign his letter of intent, he was going to go to Florida and try to be their starter. But that just didn't work out.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't really. I haven't really looked into the NIL because I mean it didn't really matter to me. But I feel like the better process would be if the NCAA is making money off of like either merch or some TV deal, then if you are part of that merch or you're part of the viewing experience, you should get revenue based off that in particular. These upfront contracts, I don't know how I feel about that. Giving upfront contracts to student
Teenagers.
athletes.
Like just saying, like just telling like a 16-year-old. Just imagine like a 16-year-old that comes from the projects or from a poor situation. Hey, come here. We'll give you $16 million. What kid's gonna say no to that? But then another team's gonna be like, oh, we'll give you 20 over this year, then like X amount over this year. So it's like they're just getting all this money thrown at them, and they don't know what. Some of these kids, like the Ole Miss quarterback, he has a private plane. Do you think
You
of
get what
think
you
of
can
like
negotiate for, man. He was
think of a
thinking.
jock? Think of like just think of like your stereotypical high school jock getting offered, like from the movies, getting offered a private plane to come to a school. Do you
That
know what type
castle's
of
worth
shenanigans?
Lonnie. That
Yeah.
castle's worth a private plane. That castle, I get his ass a private plane.
At that point, though, like your focus is not the football, which is
No,
trying to get to the
it
pro.
takes
Your
away
focus
a
is
lot
not
of football.
optimizing the football situation. Your focus is on the contract, and the contract stuff in its entirety, from what it sounds like, from everything that I'm hearing, that's not even the most ideal thing for someone to get, because you could be technically deserving of more money based off, like I said, merch, based off revenue of how many people are watching the game. Like, imagine someone watching a Colorado game like last year, a hell of people were watching it. So it might be more than what you're actually getting for the contract. I think for me, from what it sounds like, upfront contract seems very manipulative. I don't like that. I don't think it's good. But any revenue, any amount of money that is bought for the merch of the player, for their likeliness, for people watching the game that they are in, yeah, you should get something from that for sure. But that's like, you're not focusing on that money. That's just money you deserve because of who you are. And you're not negotiating contracts. That way, it's more focused on the football, and you get money based on what you're doing instead of contracts. I just don't like the idea of these guys setting themselves up for contracts.
J Rob said it
One.
on press box. These colleges are hiring GM general managers now to run these things, and Riddell's solution is a solution. We'll see what comes up, because I know, especially in Congress, they're really trying to hammer out a bill to kind of regulate this. So, I mean, right now, until somebody legitimately lays down some actual ground rules, it's going to continue to be the Wild West, and they're going to be more Jalen Rashadas moving her all over the country because NIL deals fell through, or they took money or whatever. But it's very interesting. It's a very interesting time for the NCAA, as like we're probably going to see it fall. But this comes on to my next topic and our last topic before I throw some fun questions at you guys. The NCAA and the Power Fives reached an agreement last week. Also a settlement of $5 billion to, I believe it is to past athletes. But now the Power Five schools themselves can pay athletes directly. So instead of the NCAA being that, the Power Fives have taken that autonomy for themselves. How do you see this changing NIL? So instead, it's not just boosters. It's also now you're getting paid by the university itself, which could be interesting because most of these universities are public. And how do you regulate that? Does that make these kids employees? Do they have to form a union? There's all these things that have to come up. But Lonnie, you have your hand up first. Go ahead and wrap.
I mean, I'm sorry. Anytime people are paying other people and you hear the word union, shit gets crazy. It gets wild as soon as you hear the word union. So if they try to unionize, Congress is gonna be up in flames.
There's been a few real quick. Remember Northwestern tried to unionize, it barely failed. I believe there's an actual union right now that is actually full of football players in college right now. There's one. I'm gonna look for it here, but there have been a few attempts to unionize by college football players.
Yeah, but at the same, like, there have been attempts, but it usually gets a lot of pushback, a lot of behind the scenes threats and stuff like that. So that's what the colleges gonna be avoiding at all costs. But when it comes to paying these players, like, I think a lot of these coaches have said, like, they'll have their third string running back or their special teams kick returner come up and say, like, hey, I need $40,000 or $50,000 or I'm gone. They're like, your third string, you want $50K? Like, what? So it's like these situations is only gonna get worse. Everyone's gonna want some type of money. Everyone's gonna want some type of bread. So I do feel like probably the best way to appease a lot of these kids, because not every kid's gonna be getting millions of dollars. We know this. If now these colleges can pay their players, if there's like a set salary, like a bare minimum salary for everybody, so at least it's kind of fair. Like, hey, if you come to this school, the minimum you're getting is like $50K a year, at least every year, $60K a year plus your scholarship and stuff like that, or $80K a year plus like whatever they can afford for the whole team. I feel like that would kind of appease some of these issues, because your third or fourth string wanting the quickest buck, I think could get diluted a little bit if like everyone's just on a salary and then the NIL deals come where they come. That's gonna be separate. But yeah, like I said, the NIL needs some type of regulation. So I think maybe set salary, like bare minimum salaries for all these players, things like that, would be the best way, or group NIL deals, because we've seen like some teams, like they all get like $10,000 for a commercial or stuff like that. So if they get more opportunities like that for the whole team, where it's like, hey, like this is gonna be your set salary, but also there's gonna be 3 or 4 other opportunities for the whole team to make more money. This is like what you're projected. Like here's like area you're projected to make between like 80 and 150K a year being with us. I think that can like regulate a little bit, but at the same time, yeah, some of these deals are just gonna get crazier. And don't let alternate universe. If I was in football like that when I was a kid, don't let an 18-year-old Lonnie get all this money because I'd be having sorority girls on these private planes every day and weekend. I don't know if I'd be showing up to school, but it'd be
I mean, you
crazy.
kind of have to, but all right.
I'm not gonna lie, man. At this point, being a college athlete, you're like, I'll be honest. I'm gonna be really honest. When this initial conversation started, I wasn't a fan of the idea of college athletes getting paid. Not necessarily because they didn't deserve it, but because I'm looking at like, what exactly is the point of college? So with all this is going on, whereas like college athletes are trying to unionize, trying to get a base salary. At this point, just make them just not college students. Just make them just workers. Because what are they really doing in college at that point? Are they really doing it for their educational purpose, or are they just doing it to be an athlete to get a salary? Like
Well, depending on the school,
I always look at it because I talk about college a lot because of my political background and how inefficient college is. So I always look at like the viewpoint of college students and literally the mass majority of everybody else that's going to college. But if we're giving them base salaries, if they're unionizing, getting contracts, and at this point, like, are they really students anymore? Like, what makes them students for real at this point?
the real answer, Riddell, is depending on what school they go to. The answer is they're not really students. Like some of these, a lot of the times, like when they talk about their schedule, they're with the team more than they're in class or study or like sometimes like when depending on the day they only have like 2-3 hours to study and then go to class and stuff like that. Like they're like some of them have like 3 practices a day plus weight training plus all that. Like it's almost like they have an NFL type schedule in terms of like their workouts and their training plus school. So like and sometimes like they said like yo we can't take these classes that we want to because of how many times we have to go to practice. We can't take this course or this course because it interferes with this practice and that practice. So like that's why sometimes you see them taking golf and stuff like that because they can't. Not all of them have the opportunity to pursue these classes because one, they don't have the time, and it interferes with everything that the school wants them to do for the college football itself. So I feel like sometimes they're depending on like Alabama, Georgia, like the big schools, they're not actually students because if you're practicing 2-3 times a day, weight training twice a day, then you have film study, and then you also want them to take 5 classes. It doesn't work. The time doesn't work. So the answer is
I
like
think
no.
2-3 times a day of practice. I feel like that's a stretch.
It's not just you're practicing, it's that you're doing meetings, you're going to film, you got to get treatment. It's
Of
obviously
course, it's a busy schedule, but I mean, that's what you signed up for. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and that's what they're also paying that for. And to add on to Lonnie's point real quick, then Riddell, I'm gonna let you keep going. Um, this also that other schedule, not even if there is time, it's also could be harmful towards your NFL prospects. I don't know if you guys remember Myron Rolle. He was a cornerback for the Florida State Seminoles. He was very good, but he was training to he wanted to be a doctor. In his senior year, he had an offer to really prestigious university abroad, and it was basically like, does he want to try to go make it to the NFL, or does he go to be a doctor? He chose to go be a doctor. He came back, and then I believe he played, and anyway, he was drafted in the 6th round by the Tennessee Titans. And one of the questions he was asked, like, why did you abandon your team like that when it was an opportunity to be? I believe now he's like a neurosurgeon and all that now because he was only in the league for a couple of years. So it could be very harmful towards your prospects for you to try to actually do what you want to do. Like if you want to be a graphic designer, I don't know how that would work at at a college. You know what I mean?
I mean, at that point, it's kind of like you have to pick and choose. I mean, it's just like if you had two majors and it's like both of them are very strenuous, a STEM major or a political science major, then you would have to choose one if you really want to dive into that career. I mean, that's the same thing. You can't be a doctor and a football player. So you got to pick your poison. And he picked doctor. I mean, that's just what he picked.
So,
But you
real
can
quick,
still
Riddell.
get a go ahead.
No, I was saying, I just looked up like a basic schedule for a D1 football player. So it's like 5 to 6 a.m. like is breakfast time. 6 to 8 a.m. is strength and conditioning. 8 to 8:30 is team meeting. And then like 8:30 to 9 is usually scheduled to class. Between 9 and 2 p.m. is usually their classes and lunch. Then 2 to 2:30 is game film. 2:30 to 3:15 is them getting taped and prep for practice. 3:30 to 6 p.m. is practice with the team. Then they have like shower and more training. 7 is eat dinner. 7:30 to 9:30 is academic support. And then 9:30 to whatever time is homework and then sleep.
Y'all gonna hate me. That schedule's not that hard. I'm not gonna lie. That schedule is not that hard.
That's like, I'm saying that's a basic D1. Like when it comes to Alabama or like Georgia, some of the other schools, there might be more practices, stuff like that.
I doubt it will ever get to 3, and 2 practices probably would be 1 at the very least with pads and 1 without, maybe 1 a run through. But I mean, maybe my perspective is a little skewed because I've been in the military. So I mean, those are strenuous schedules. To be fair.
Riddell, I agree.
Maybe my point of view is just skewed. Maybe people really can't handle that much work. But
no. I don't think. I think the reason why it sounds because it's the pressure and the amount of money that's on the line. Obviously, college football makes these universities billions of dollars. And obviously I played at NAIA, so I did not have a D1 schedule, but my schedule was basically like that. We woke up in the off season at 4 to go work out, then go eat breakfast, then we had meetings. Then we had like you heard this. Mine was basically like that. So I think maybe Riddell, maybe somebody with your military background will never just agree to that. But I think it's just the amount of money that they're throwing into this and the amount of so they're expecting a lot of time. And obviously the NCAA has changed. God, remember when Steph Curry's like, I couldn't even get a burger after games. I couldn't get any food after games. So the NCAA has really changed. So it would be very curious to if J-Rob was here or a D1 athlete to talk to them and see what their entire schedule was like.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at to be fair, this was D3 school, but it was like a private school, but it was a D3 athletic school. But so I knew guys who played sports and did STEM. I'm sure their schedule wasn't as strenuous, but yeah, they were busy constantly. I'm like, I mean, hey man, that's tough, but that's the life you chose, man. That's what you want to do. You want to grind.
I had late labs for me, so after practice would end at 6. I was excused from academic support because I had to go to class, and then I begin back to my dorm room around 9, then study and whatever. So it's like you say, it's what the scholarship was for me. It's what the money is for now. So you should be able to handle that schedule. But the one thing go ahead.
I want to be very clear. I'm not saying this stuff is easy. Of course not. Even like something that people scoff at consistently, like being a YouTuber, that stuff is not easy, but it's 100% doable.
It is
like
doable.
It's not doable at all. You just got to be
Black Sensei Society.
For sure. You just got to be willing to grind. I mean, you grind to get what you want. You grind to be a millionaire. That's just the type of grind you got to be through. Everybody can do it. It's just some people ain't cut out for it, and some people are. But it's 100% not easy. But it's for sure doable.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But I wanted to focus on the second question in there. How do you feel about these schools directly paying athletes? I've seen a few. Also, I need to add on to the unionizing point. When Dartmouth, the basketball team, tried to unionize, I believe it was last year or 2022. I believe they sued for the right and they won. So the NCAA athletes could all officially start unionizing for real. Now I know Penn State had a little something before them, but now they're officially unionized, and there is actually a college football union in the NCAA called the College Football Players Association. So there's that. Also, UAB became the first team to wholeheartedly like unionize. They didn't join the Players Association, but they joined something called athletes.org. Trent Dilfer, by the way, is their head coach. And he actually showed them like, look, you guys are, he said, he's like, you guys are a part of the conversation now, you guys are part of the table, so I want to make sure you guys are directed. And he had athletes.org come in and talk to the players about what they do, and apparently what they talked about was so well, every player on the UAB squad signed up with them. So that athletes.org is now their union or their representation in terms of contract negotiations and things like that. So unionizing is coming. It's probably going to have both a good and a bad side, because according to the Associated Press, most adults do not want to see college football players unionize. So there's going to be a lot of revolution back and forth. But to go on to my next question is, college football or like college teams can now pay these athletes directly. Some places have funds, like the University of Miami has a fund that boosters pay into. Some places don't. How are they going to be getting this money? Is this public money? Riddell, especially with you in the political space, how do you see this kind of going over politically? And why? And I wonder that the Power 5 conferences specifically fought for this right. So how does this change how NIL could possibly be done in the future?
My only potential concern, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate. When it comes to stuff like this, I always look at the institution as a whole, because the institution at the core is an educational institution. My only potential concern, especially if there's a fund, is that fund taken away from other aspects of the institution, of the college itself? Now, it's possible it can't, but I don't know about that, because where are you getting this money? The only thing I can say is that you get this money either from the state, which I doubt, or you get the money from donors, which, okay, donors donating a little bit extra, but at that point, you're still taking that money away from somewhere else. So regardless, if the school is paying directly, it seems to me that this money will be taken away from other areas of the school. And I don't like the idea of that. Schools already have been pretty bad in terms of like being as efficient as possible and supporting other aspects of education. So I'd be curious to see where the funds are being allocated from. And if they are taken away from other aspects of the school, then I personally am not okay with it.
Lonnie?
No, I agree. When it comes to these schools, like all aspects, like in terms of like STEM, the arts, all that stuff matters. So if those are losing money just because college football makes them money, I wouldn't agree with that at all. So yeah,
Some places are different. Like for instance, UConn women's basketball probably draws more money than most college women's basketball teams. So they're obviously, I agree, Lonnie, I agree with you where we're not paying the top baseball guy the same way they're not paying the Alabama top pitcher the same way they're paying the Alabama quarterback. They're just not doing that, because college football and college basketball are the ones that make the money for all the other sports. But if they're paying these athletes directly, that means you are dealing with the rower who's the best in her class and she wants $100,000, or the swimmer who's the best at the relay or whatever, and she wants $50,000. Now you got to talk to your quarterback who wants $1 million.
Gymnasts make
Livy Dunn is making a lot of money for LSU. She's making a lot of money. So I think you might need to hire a second one. These are hundreds of athletes at D1 programs you are potentially negotiating with now. Are you prepared to have that conversation? Are they prepared to do something like this? They fought for the right, but now I'm worried that
I know I know that we focus on football, but if it comes to like paying all these athletes, how many sports there are, how many sport teams like all these big colleges have,
because they get esports also, that brings in money.
Because they have big tennis is on TV, like college tennis is on TV, golf is on TV. Like the biggest golfers, they start off their tours in college. That's how they get. That's how they get their ranking. They get their pre-rankings by playing in college first. A lot of
And
these,
don't even stay with athletes. You get money from a lot of different people who do extracurricular activities for these colleges. I mean, even, you know what I'm saying, the marching band. That halftime show doesn't do itself, but hey, man, when they do the crazy things they do, they deserve to get paid too. Hey, someone's entertaining someone. The entertainers deserve to get paid. Are they getting paid? I don't know if they're getting paid.
I don't know if they're getting paid.
They need to get paid. Your singers, some singer you have, she needs to get paid. Everybody that brings money in for the college deserves to get paid. Every single one.
Do you think this is a way for a team that's been out for a little while to jump up immediately or to be better quicker?
I mean, yeah, we've seen it. Like Notre Dame, they've been lackluster, but they've been throwing their money at people. Like other colleges that because when it comes to college football, you don't need as much talent as like you do in like the NFL. You really just need that one or two guy that puts you on the map, and then to help get the ball rolling. So Toulouse or Montana or whatever, they can just if they can scrunch up $10 million just to pay one person. And then,
I'm sorry, I don't think the top quarterback in the nation is going.
No,
to
I'm not talking. Not doesn't have to be the top quarterback of the nation because we all know like the top QBs don't always pan out. But if they can all if a small market team or a smaller big team like a Kentucky, Kentucky's not really known for football, but hey, they give someone like $15 million and he ends up being a superstar. Guess what? So it does give people more of a chance compared to like how it used to be, because it used to be like you're either going to like Alabama, you're going to Clemson, or you're going to Ohio State or Georgia, or you kind of suck. But now it's like, hey, now you got to pay more attention to USC. Now you got to pay more attention to UCLA. Now you got to pay more attention to some of these other big schools because they got money and now they can actually use it. So
they're eventually going to create a cap, 100%.
Absolutely, they are.
Right now, there's no cap. Right now, it's the Wild West. So
yeah, freaking.
There's a coach hating it.
But we see South Dakota State with some 5-star recruits because they gave them all like $10 million. That's when we're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is getting kind of wild.
So I mean, it's very interesting. I'm also we've seen it trickle down too to the lower divisions. Like, remember the kid who was in that famous GIF where he's just standing there with like that Popeyes cup, and he's like this. He's like you've seen the GIF.
You know what really might change it?
Yeah,
two things. If a HBCU gets a big donor, or if an Ivy League school gets a huge donor.
Ivy Leagues, I feel like Ivy Leagues obviously I've never played, but I feel like they're gonna have a problem. Like, we want us to give money for football with everything else that we do.
That might be an initial thing, but at the same time, we all know that the alumni for some of these Ivy Leagues are the richest people in the world. So a Harvard graduate's like, hey, I'll give you guys $30 million, get some players. Because I want to.
Why would that guy do it unless he's a football player himself, or he's like, I want you to give this money to the medical department to update your tools.
Well, if you retain the legitimacy of Harvard, that just helps your status being a Harvard alum. So you retain the prestige, you increase the prestige, you increase your own prestige as well.
I mean, I would be very interested to see something like that. A HBCU would be so interesting because I think they had a chance with Dion, and we saw how many problems he had there.
Oprah or Tyler Perry donates a bunch of money to HBCU.
My only thing is we've seen HBCUs kind of fail before. They hired Ed Reed, and he couldn't even last the summer. He was done. And then they blasted Dion on the way out.
You just need that one star to get some recognition. You need those few pieces. So, like, if an Oprah or a Tyler Perry donates a bunch of money to HBCU for their sports program, and they get a bunch of good players, the next thing you know,
Jackson State
the
felt like
powers
their
that be
shot.
are going to be like, yo, we need to change something. We need to
I'm
change.
very curious for the schools that have a innate identity behind them, cultural or religious. I wonder how willing they would be in terms of throwing money at people that are completely the opposite of what you represent. Like someone who's an atheist going to BYU, for example. Like, would they give a bag because he's the top quarterback? Like, oh,
I don't think so.
play for my
Some of these
school,
places
man.
it's ingrained. Like even Notre Dame is notoriously very hard to get into for athletes because of their academic standards, let alone whatever you have to do there religiously.
But now with the money incentive, because some of these players, like some of these top QBs, like they have 4.0 GPAs, but it's like Notre Dame's always, because Notre Dame's one of those teams where it's like they're always on like people's like finalist lists, but
They never get picked.
They just never get picked. So like they've always just been one of those teams. I've seen that for like basketball too. Like they're like when I see like these high school players, like they name like their top 5 final schools. Notre Dame is like a lot of times on that list, but then they just pick Kentucky or Duke or whatever. So, but hey, now Notre Dame's like, hey, we'll give you an extra $10 million than they will. Guess what happens? Now they're at Notre Dame instead of that.
I don't think we haven't seen that actually happen though. Like BYU's not throwing money around at people. Notre Dame just started.
NIL is new. Like the ball is just started getting rolling. Like now, like this is like another full on year of like established NIL with more people. We see like how more deals are going on. So these schools are gonna start catching on. So
in due time, man, in due time.
All right. And I didn't realize we get to my bonus cushion this quickly, but I got a few more fun ones. But let's go back to Lonnie's Celtics. Y'all saw the Pacers in game 3 run that football play that almost tied the game.
Oh, that Madden play, the 4 verticals.
Yeah, 4 verticals with a pick play in there too. The refs are throwing the flag, but
I mean, thank God they ran that play.
I mean that was crazy. But I guess real quick, how did you feel about the little cross sport, right there? And Lonnie, if your Celtics don't win the championship, man, I'm about to be nasty.
Whatever.
I'm about to be nasty if that don't happen.
When it comes to the Celtics, I'll just say this because I got into basketball late. Like my family's a big basketball and football family, but like I was never interested in sports like that. I was more like I was a big book kid until like maybe high school. Yeah, like late middle school, high school. That's when I really started getting into football and basketball. Funny enough, it was 2K and Madden that got me into football and basketball. But my first like player that I was drawn to was Kyrie Irving. So, and then eventually Steph Curry and stuff like that. So if Kyrie, with all the stuff that he went through with the Celtics, if he gets his revenge, you know how petty I am. I'll be happy for him. I'll be happy if the Celtics are my team. If he gets to like get his revenge and trash the Celtics and beat them for a chip, I'll be satisfied. But we should win that shit. But no, you see all the time that like sports like they take from other sports in terms of like footwork, in terms of different ideals and stuff like that. Like we see it all the time. You see it in soccer, you see it in football, you see it in basketball. Like they take different aspects of what people do and they incorporate it. You see like some of the best basketball players, they played soccer growing up. Steve Nash, Joel Embiid, Giannis, they all wanted to be soccer players. So when you see like I feel like it's just like natural evolution and natural progression of sports, like always just biting from each other. So
yeah, fun fact. Patrick Mahomes played basketball. Y'all see the clips of Patrick Mahomes? He was dunking. He was a point guard. He was James. Yeah, no, I'm talking about he used to play basketball when he was younger.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I was saying like when they were like put it in on ESPN because he had like some runs with some people
at a Planet like a Planet Fitness or something like that.
Yeah,
like, chill, bro.
Like, yeah, you're not doing that shit again.
I mean, he was a baller for real. Not only was he,
did he play baseball too?
Yeah, he got drafted for baseball.
Oh, really competent in the ghost footsteps, huh? Welcome. Tom Brady was also drafted.
Mahomes was drafted for baseball. He was a dog in basketball. He played hockey too. This dude was doing a lot. Hey, Mahomes is just man.
Hey, so parents, whoever's gonna watch this, make sure your kids play multiple sports when they're younger. But I want to do a little bit of overrated, underrated with y'all to finish up. And it's just going to be things around football. But first things first.
Before that, apparently, because I sent it to Riddell, I think yesterday, the day before. You know, Mahomes has a half brother that's in college football right now.
That man is playing his position. He's just bobbing and weaving. The rest of his family.
He was All American. He was All American too.
Yeah, he's just chilling, bro. He's not doing anything crazy. He's just like, I'm gonna make it to the NFL and we chilling. I'm not gonna be fumbling the bag like a
family member Mahomes has. That's crazy.
Yeah, him and his mom. Except for me and you talked about that article. She's like, I wish I saw him more. He's an NFL quarterback. He's an NFL quarterback.
So what did she say? That she wants him to be recognized as much for his academic accomplishments as his football.
Nobody gives a what did he do fuck about that? Nobody except you.
That?
His mom.
Mahomes' mom.
His mom.
She wants.
She's a nice lady.
Like what academic accomplishments did he win the spelling bee?
Hey man.
What did he want us to do? Like what he wants to do? He's the best quarterback in football right now. We're not gonna talk about the A+ he got in chemistry. We don't care. We don't care. But overrated, underrated.
Mahomes right now is winning the lottery, bro. He found his wife in like middle school. Then he ended up being like he got drafted for 2 sports. It was a dog in basketball and hockey, and then became the best quarterback in football the moment he joined. Like
he didn't win the family lottery though.
His family savage.
Yeah. His dad and his brother wilding, and I don't think his wife is as problematic as people say, but I think she's just kind of a little bit annoying.
Lottie, did you say the report about how she was beefing with some of Taylor Swift's people? I'm like, play your position. Play your position. You are this is levels,
extra.
Lady.
She's extra. That's all.
Like play your position.
Or how she got banned from that hotel, allegedly.
She's for sure extra. But it's kind of crazy because you see Mahomes and you see her, but you hear these stories, but like Mahomes always praises her. So like there's some disconnect. I feel like
hold on. We're not gonna sit here and act like we didn't see Aisha Curry say sometimes I want other men to look at me, and Steph Curry supported her. Because what the hell? What was Steph supposed to do? No, I don't like that.
I feel like that was overblown too. Yeah, it was a crazy statement. But she's an amazing wife, apparently. I only can go based on
worry about your man looking at you. Worry about your man looking at you.
Hey, man. Hey, you know what's funny? We can have wives, have whole body pillows of fictional characters and be okay with it. But then they want to look at all these other dudes like, oh, it's the worst thing.
No. That is not what Aisha said. Hey. She wants other men to look at her. Like, my bad that these men around you were just respecting the fact that you are married to Steph Curry. So we're respecting that.
Why do people dress in cosplay? Because they want to get looked at.
The thing with Aisha Curry, because that's not what Random saying is not the issue. The issue with Aisha Curry saying that is that a few years before, when she was getting a lot of attention, she was saying the reason why she dressed conservatively is only because she only dresses non-conservatively for her man, and like her body's reserved for her man. So then saying like, oh, I'm conservative, I'm conservative because I'm only showing off for my man, but then also saying I want men to look at me, it's like it's contradictory. It is contradictory.
Hey man,
that was my only issue with that.
She was a hypocrite, bro. She was a hypocrite.
You can't say you only want to dress a certain way or look a certain way for your man, and you want to be conservative, and then at the same time say I want men to look at me. That's like it's the definition of being a contradictory.
All right, but look at it this way: you could have a situation where it's years down the line and you walking with your hubby, Steph Curry, and all these women looking at this light-skinned warrior and fawning over him constantly. Yo, he's like, constantly Steph Curry constantly getting hit on. I mean, we know
he's going home with you every night.
Okay, but she was like, you know, everywhere I go, he's just getting hit on. You know, it kind of feels demeaning. I kind of want to get hit on.
Curry is fire.
Change your mind. You want to get hit on a little bit.
And she's a chef. And she's a chef with restaurants. You know she's getting hit on too. Like
I talked to her just to see what kind of recipe she got.
Hey man, she just thinks people respect Steph Curry too much. Now she's like, you know, hey, he's okay with it. Just like Just compliment me. That's all she's saying.
I'd be asking for cooking lessons during them. I have no shame. I'd be like,
Hey, a little compliment here and there. That's all she's asking for, man.
All right. Let me finish this up so we can all go. We're going to do a little bit of overrated, underrated, but this first one is I want to have an addendum to it. So, is the Super Bowl halftime show overrated or underrated?
Properly rated? That's my answer.
It's one of the biggest events of the year every year.
Yeah.
Okay, then addendum. Who should be who should do it next?
Usher Kendrick. Yo, put Kendrick on the. Yo, where's it?
I thought the one time I saw him, it was for college football.
No, Kendrick was at the halftime show like 3 years ago
with Dr. Dre.
He wasn't the main guy. I don't think.
To be fair, isn't it kind of crazy Drake hasn't done it?
He's Canadian.
So?
I don't know. He's Canadian.
Super Bowl 2025 is in Vegas. Okay.
All right. So
Kendrick, that's an hour flight from LA, like PJ or not.
I feel like if it's Vegas, it has to be like a superstar. Can you convince Taylor Swift to do it? How much money
she'll never do it. She'll never do it.
If the Chiefs are back at the Super Bowl,
yo,
she's not going to do it. She makes too much money.
How much? Because I guarantee they give her a bag. They give her a stupid bag.
She because I know they've reached out to her before. She's denied them a couple times.
But now she has a reason to do it.
She had a reason to do it last year too.
Actually, like they don't get paid, right?
Yeah,
the performers don't actually get paid.
The notoriety itself is what really boosts them. Like, remember when Katy Perry had Missy Elliott? Missy Elliott for like a night was like the most streamed artist. Like people were like,
I think like Rihanna when she did it, like she ended up getting like $60 or $70 million.
Oh yeah, Usher for sure got hella streams after he performed.
And then he got married right afterwards. He's like, yeah, I just left the stadium. Let's go get married.
Yeah, so they end up getting like millions upon millions just for being there. But I mean,
I wouldn't be mad at
like Brent Fayez for like when you look at like the hottest artists, you can see like Billie Eilish might get because she does the Oscars, she does the Grammys, she does.
I don't need a Billie Eilish halftime show. I actually
you'd have to bring someone with her. I think
I don't need.
I don't know because they have a song together.
No, I need Kendrick. I need Kendrick.
You can see Harry Styles. You can see like that.
I need him to perform, not like us. No, I'm not.
I don't think they're gonna let him. They're not gonna let him. They wouldn't let him.
What are they gonna do? He's gonna
tell them no. He has to let them know what songs he's gonna use for the performance.
We see dead people. Oh, it's a rap. It's a rap.
Yeah, because people in
Drake
Vegas
is about to turn off the Super Bowl the moment that he hears that whisper, bro.
Hey, the Migos. I don't know.
They're not the same. Not the Sony two of them. And also, Quavo shouldn't come outside after that.
Yeah, Quavo got cut by Chris Brown.
Quavo Future. I don't know.
I would have said Chris Brown, but he's never gonna.
They're never gonna let.
They're never gonna ask.
They're never gonna let Chris Brown do it.
Well,
bring back Bruno Mars for a third time with Silk Sonic. I'm down for that.
Just need a little bit. You gotta space it out with Bruno.
Tell them he did old Bruno. Then 2 years later with Beyonce, he came in as new Bruno, and I'm like,
yeah, but he wasn't the main guy. Beyonce was the main.
Technically, Coldplay was the main, and they brought Beyonce and Bruno, and they took over that thing. Yeah, Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowl 50.
Yeah, but then Beyonce had her own.
They asked Adele. Adele said
Super Bowl was in Vegas. Wait, someone said in New Orleans. I literally saw 2025 Vegas. I'm dead serious.
See, MC Robinson says it's overrated. He says the halftime show is overrated.
Cab, that shit's it's popping, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, people were living during that Usher.
Oh, it is in Vegas. I mean, in New Orleans. Why did I think it was in Vegas for some reason?
If they could ever get Lonnie, if they could ever get Lil Wayne to do a halftime show, I might pass.
If they get Lil Wayne, then he's bringing on like Nicki Minaj, and he's bringing on Drake.
Just bring back Young Money. Bring back Young Money one time.
He might see Tyga.
Drake, person that got a tattoo after screwing his girl. Nah.
Oh, but you know who's like probably the most likely generic answer? Travis Scott.
Yeah, I'm good on Travis Scott.
I just feel like in terms of like generic, what they what they like look for like in terms of like the hype and all the other songs. Travis Scott makes sense.
Travis Scott.
The moment the Super Bowl's in Detroit, it will never be in Detroit. But if it did, Eminem, obviously.
With Big Sean.
It should. Oh, him and Big Sean would be awesome. Oh, now I'm getting
Eminem solo, man. He can bring in Dre.
No, bring them both. Who gives a shit?
Nah, Big Sean don't need to be there, man. I'm just
all right. So it's you guys said it's properly rated. No, just because I want to give this guy some love. Greg Olsen, he got demoted. I want you guys to rank these 3 people in general. All right. And say whether or not they're properly rated, underrated, or overrated. Greg Olsen, Tony Romo, and Tom Brady.
In terms of analysts?
Yes. Tom Brady's unfair.
We literally haven't seen Tom Brady be an analyst.
I agree with you, but from everything I've heard out of Fox, whether it's Colin Cowherd on the volume or whatever.
Overrated until proven otherwise. So we probably think he's about to be the greatest analyst of all time. Overrated.
Sorry, because right now Tony Romo.
Put some respect on John Madden's name, Riddell. Put some respect on his name.
That's why I said overrated for Brady. I mean, you falling in my book, man. Overrated. There we go.
Tony Romo, like right now, to me, is like the GOAT analyst. Because the way that he just be calling plays right before it happens, you're just like, yo, like, why couldn't you do this on the field?
Leave him
why
alone.
Couldn't you do this on the field?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
He had one of the most unlucky, just weird careers. Even though he was he was undrafted.
Tony Romo sometimes sounds like an oracle. He's like, yo, look at this play right here. Look at him get a pick, or he's gonna be set up for a pick. If they go this route, they go that route, they get a pick. I'm just like. But at the same time, you throw a pick left and right when you're on the Cowboys. Why couldn't you?
Because the Cowboy curse, man. I think Tony Romo is underrated. I think he gets underrated. Too much hate for some reason. Like
he just played quarterback for the Cowboys.
I love Tony Romo as an analyst. I think he's awesome. Please don't.
Wasn't he technically a part of the Big Ben class? He was just undrafted.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Either way, I enjoyed his game. Real quick, Bad Bunny would kill a Super Bowl halftime show
in Puerto Rico.
Oh my god, it don't matter. Bring him here. He sells out arenas, Riddell.
No, Bad Bunny's one of the hottest artists in the world.
He sells out arenas, Riddell.
I don't know if he should be doing
it. When he pulls up, let's just use Kansas City. When he pulls up to Kansas City, he doesn't go to the T-Mobile Center, which is ironically one of the most used venues in the world for concerts. He goes to Arrowhead and sells that out.
His fans will sell it out, but at the Super Bowl, that's football fans, like the casual person.
Introducing them, so you're introducing them to new music.
That's not how it works. We want to see people we already know.
Bad Bunny's one of the most recognizable artists on the planet,
but it's not a Super Bowl type of audience for Bad Bunny.
Oh, I think you're severely underestimating Bad Bunny.
I think I'm properly estimating Bad Bunny. That's what I think. You think people are gonna go crazy over Bad Bunny? Like they're gonna go
you have
crazy
to think.
over
to Riddell's point. Because I'm in between both of y'all in terms of this. So Riddell is underrating how crazy Bad Bunny's fame is. Like he is like maybe a top 3 artist in the world.
That's not going around the world doing tours. That's all.
But at the same time, when we talk about Super Bowl, you have to think about the rednecks, the general white audience. Like, why is this Spanish music playing? They're not. Might be.
We don't have to attack our redneck audience. The general black audience would think the same thing.
No, they would not.
No, they would not.
No, they would not. General black audience.
You can tell Riddell's never listened to Bad Bunny consistently.
I got like 10 Bad Bunny songs right now. I can play for you. I got
Come on, bro.
Yo, Riddell, when we in New York in August, we going to a Latin club. I'm telling you this right now. We going to a Latin club.
The casual audience won't know Bad Bunny like that. They will know of Bad Bunny. They will know of him. They won't.
The number one song like 2 years ago, like in the world for like what was that one song that was just
like I said, they will know of him. Like freaking Despacito was number 1. They know of the guy.
Despacito. Everyone
they know of him, but they're not gonna know him. They're not gonna go like. They're not gonna cheer him like some of the other artists that we name
Well, that's what I'm saying, Travis Scott, because Travis Scott just makes sense.
I don't want to see Travis Scott.
I'm just saying that we're going for generic. We're going for generic songs.
Ugh.
Give me
or Neo.
Kendrick Lamar. I need to see not like a scat halftime show. I stand by
Neo. I think while I like it, I think he's better as a feature than the head guy.
Neo?
If they just went straight up like K-pop, why
Neo
not?
got bangers. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but Super Bowl halftime show bangers.
Yeah. Usher performed at the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Usher got more.
Okay,
no. So what is he playing? Because of You, Time of Our Lives, Sexy Love at the Super Bowl.
What did Usher perform? He's performing the same type of music.
Yeah, but
it's literally band for band.
I'm like, who's doing?
What if they just went K-pop?
Post Malone too. Post Malone they can do.
That's what one could do. What if they did like BTS is known everywhere?
Nah, not a halftime show. They can feature, like they can come on, but they shouldn't be the main attraction.
Apparently, they offered Pick a couple of times. She said
Ariana Grande makes sense.
I'm good
for sure.
Sure,
she can bring BTS on.
I mean, SZA's always welcome. SZA's welcomed at any time, 24/7. She's welcomed anytime.
Good Lord, let me stop.
Okay. All right, but all right, on to the next question.
We gotta go for it. So we'll do one more. Okay. So where should the NFL next host its game next season? So they've had a few places. If you want to overrate, underrate these, it was Dublin. There was a few other places. Frankfurt,
Dublin,
Germany.
They did like Mexico.
No. There's a new place they're thinking about going to. They want. I think they mentioned Dublin, Ireland, because the Notre Dame goes there all the time. Apparently, I didn't realize that. I didn't watch because I'm not watching Notre Dame that early into the college football season. But they want to go to Dublin. They mentioned Spain, maybe playing a game in Paris. How will you guys feel? Or I guess you could say overrate, underrate to these different spots, or what's a place they should go, or they should try to go that they just haven't brought up yet.
You know, one of the biggest places I love America content, Japan. Go to Tokyo.
Send the Rams and the 49ers there and just let them beat each other up for 3 hours.
Yeah, the Japanese fan base will go insane. They will go
insane for the game.
I'm sure the athletes would love going to Tokyo too.
How you guys feel about Dublin?
That or India? India is also like
that might be too far
in the world.
That might be too far.
Japan is farther.
Is it a farther flight?
Oh, if you're talking about California teams, then no. But like if it's not a California team, it's probably gonna be farther.
That's why I said Rams and 49ers because they're in the same state. Like if you're sending the Seahawks and the 49ers there to Japan, I don't know how long the thing is. So.
I would say Australia for sure.
Australia's a good place because they do it like rugby and all that other stuff down there.
I think they also have a football league that they do.
They have a smaller football league. Mexico also has a smaller football league as well.
Yeah, Australia would be big for tapping into that audience over there. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love the football.
How do we feel about Dublin?
Dublin, Ireland? I don't know, man. But what I've seen from WWE, if we can keep going to Europe, I'm fine with it, man. They get hype. They get hype over there.
Ireland. That France crowd really. If it made me as an American fan, the next time I go to a live show, I got to step my game up because they were lit all night.
That's why I don't go to live shows because I'm not lit like that. So I'm like, if I know I'm not gonna scream like that, I'm not going. I'll just watch.
I would kill to be at that Puerto Rican PLE last year. I would kill to be there. That sounded when Bad Bunny comes out, Riddell. I've never heard a crowd that loud until that crowd in France.
Hey, maybe when we have the Super Bowl in Puerto Rico, Bad Bunny. There you go. Super Bowl halftime show.
They'll blow out the speakers in the stadium. That's how
there you go. That's how you make your money right there.
But that's it, guys. This has been episode 9 of the new Open Field podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you guys want to support us, you can support us on our Cash App. and which is $ the Open Field Podcast, and our PayPal, the Open Field Podcast at gmail.com. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe our content. Go follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We'll probably see you guys next week, same time. Also make sure you subscribe to the Black Sensei Society. You know, we three of the captains right here talking everything and anything anime, and sometimes a little more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Peace. Also, I need Luka to end this in Game 5.